guess I had my mic muted. Sorry about that. We'll be on the air with some new and improved news from the PJNET broadcast studio about a minute or so from now. See you there. Well, it is good to be back live. Now, I know things look like a mess back there, but I'm going to explain. Give me time. Hey, that was a great song. B.J. Thomas, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. That's an old one. Man, I remember that one. That was great. Thank you to our video host, Sunbelt Girl, and also Steve Hazards4. You see him there in the chat room. Okay, the mess behind me is soon going to start looking a little better. There's a lot of things happening that you can't see off camera. I won't try to show them to you now because you'll be able to see them soon. Let me tell you. Now, this is going to get a little technical, but please follow along. For years, you have heard me and seen me. And in fact, I'm going to play the promo video coming up shortly after we get done here, on what you can do if you just have enough money. Okay? But we don't. And that's why we're still waiting around. But here's one of the problems. First of all, my carpenter guy, as I said in the last segment, he's coming in Monday and he's going to custom build my studio desk, which will still be made out of plywood. It'll be ugly, but it'll be very functional, built to very specific criteria. Because I have 3 monitors now. I'm about to have a 4th monitor back there. You won't ever see it. A 55-inch monitor on the wall where I can look through the 2 monitors here in front of me and the 3rd one that will be there when the desk gets built. All right, now the thing is, you got to have multiple camera shots. Right now there's only that camera right there. That's it. And it's a talking head. It gets boring. But if you can switch the camera angles, if you ever watch something like a worship service or any event, you'll notice that there's a speaker, a talking head like me, but he's more interesting, not because he's any more charismatic than I am or has more talent than I am. What it really is the cameras. Okay. All right. Well, here's the problem. Cameras are very expensive. Okay, start there. They're expensive. These are PTZ, pan, tilt, zoom, where you can move, remote control, move the camera where it's pointing. They have a motor and they consume power. Now, one of the problems is you got to get power to the camera. This is done through the network cable. The problem is you get these cameras and you overload your power supply. So I was shopping around for power supplies. Network switches, PoE, power over Ethernet. They're up in the cheap ones are $200-300. Okay. Okay. Then I stumbled across an article about, and I tinkered with the idea of offloading this to some hardware instead of using software. Because camera videos tend to overwhelm the software, overwhelm the computer. Your computer's huffing and puffing. Well, those gadgets are thousands of dollars, and we ain't got that kind of money. So I went back looking at software, and I tinkered with the idea of a video surveillance system where I could basically use that for multiple camera angles and then just have the output of that merged in with this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I found an outfit that makes a power supply and network box for $229. And it's got all kinds of good reviews. I've watched YouTube. This is the rig. And the cameras that go with it, I'm not going to start out with a pan tilt zoom. I'm going to start out with just simple fixed cameras. But they're in the $50 range. So they're really no more expensive than a webcam. And then when we get some more money, hopefully, we'll get a pan tilt zoom. Now, behind me someday, it won't be this week, I'm pretty sure. Because I got to get the desk first, and I can't afford to do all of it at one time. But will be one of those lime green. I've got the paint. It's actually right over there. A gallon of this special paint. It's actually not paint. Paint would only be $20 a gallon. This stuff is $80 a gallon. But it's designed specially for this, what they call chroma key application. That way, for now, we can't do it live, but on recorded stuff that is edited and produced, we can still use, it turns out the software we already have is capable of chroma key editing. So I'll be able to do like videos that are recorded, and then we can play them back, and I can literally be anywhere. I can be in the middle of a NASCAR race. I can be in the infield if I can just find video of it. I can be on the beach. I can be in front of the Capitol building. It's just really, really cool stuff. But anyway, that's all coming up Monday. Tomorrow, my wife and I are going to be trying to get this shed kind of organized. One of the problems is we had to get our stuff when we moved. We had to get the shed and move stuff in here because we were paying for a pods, which is a great idea. But if you're paying for a building and a pods, that's not a good idea. So we emptied the pods out into here, and that has greatly complicated getting insulation up. Because you got to move everything. You got to move and make a little hole for yourself to work and get insulation up. I've actually got a part of a ceiling up. It's kind of interesting because I was going to use acoustic tiling, not acoustic tiling, drop ceiling. That stuff, you see it all over the place. It's kind of expensive, but it was good in that it provides some insulation value to keep the air conditioning in and the heat out. But it also has some acoustic absorption properties that would come in handy when you're in a small room like this. You don't want any more echo than you can, do away with. So, but my wife was in Lowe's with me, and she walks past this section on vinyl mobile home skirting. It's just panels. Well, here, it's panels of vinyl, really, just like that, and it's just got a rail. You stick it in the bottom. So I'm actually repurposing that. Instead of being on the ground up to the bottom of a mobile home, it's actually suspended from the ceiling, and it's compared to the ceiling tile. This stuff is incredibly cheap, and you can do it yourself. You don't need. Now, I am no carpenter, I promise you, but this stuff, I was able to put it in. So I've got a 8-foot section right there. I've got an 8-foot section above me. I've got 6 very bright LED. They look like fluorescent, dual fluorescent. So I've got 12 light bulbs in here now. And my wife was coming in here this evening. She said, it looks like Las Vegas. I said, as it should. So we're looking real good. And moments ago, you heard we've got some new software we're using instead of Skype. We're using some new software that's actually much better at handling call-ins. Much better. It doesn't do video conferencing quite as well because the video imagery is very small, but that's not a big drawback. But it does allow multiple call-ins, and unlike Skype, when people call in, they don't automatically join the conversation, and you can mute individual channels or mute all channels, which was something Skype never could do. And Skype is, we could be doing an interview, and if somebody called in, well, the phone would ring, and well, you saw it happen tonight. We weren't on Skype, but I forgot to turn my cell phone off, or on silent anyway. So we're real excited about that. Plus, with Chuck Nellis coming on board with his show, I think this is going to be a real rebirth, for PJNET in partnership with great people like Chuck. There's probably others out there. And I hope Chuck will actually carry the torch and encourage other patriots and conservatives and Christians, to be a part of it. Don't just sit back and do it. and listen to it and watch it, be a part of it. And I'm being asked, is that YouTube link available yet? YouTube was processing it a moment ago. They take anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour. But you know what? Looks to me like we do have it ready to go. This is the raw footage, unedited. Unedited, okay? So it's raw, but nonetheless, we may edit this down and make it a little bit more shareable. But by all means, check out the link from the earlier live segment with Chuck. And if I've got fresh coffee here, I might edit that thing down and jazz it up a little bit. You never know. But it was just great to have Chuck with us tonight. Chuck, you're a great guy. And I think, we're finding that it's more and more difficult to get heard on Twitter, but now we can add YouTube as a new venue that we can pipe out the message. Now, by the way, YouTube isn't much better than Twitter. They'll get you in trouble too. But nonetheless, it's a brand new field that hasn't been touched. YouTube advertising, I have tinkered with it. You can literally run an ad on YouTube for a penny. I kid you not, a penny. I had a budget of $1 a day, 1 penny per play at $1 a day. And they only charge you if the people watch it at least 30 seconds or click on it, either way. So I was getting thousands and thousands of plays, and maybe they didn't see all of it, but you know what? They saw some of it, and really great. So that's a possibility. Very affordable. You could sponsor, a video a day for $1. $1. You just do 1 day a month, $1 a month, or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot we can do, but hopefully by Monday, when my guy leaves, I will have a real desk. I presently have 2 sawhorses. I'm not kidding. 2 sawhorses with a piece of plywood on top of it, and that is serving as a desk, as a studio. Yeah. And we'll get the monitors up. I still don't have any speakers. Just have to use these little earbuds, $6 ear candy or whatever they call it. Skull candy, anyway, $6. And, but anyway, it's going to be great. It's good to be back. We had bandwidth problems earlier. Some of you didn't know, but here where we've moved to is 30 miles outside of Tallahassee. The only internet provider is the phone company, and the only package I could get at the time, I ordered it due December the 6th. Finally, about 4 months later, I actually got something. It was supposed to be 20 megs down and 2 megs up. Well, they struggled to get it to 2 megs, and not long after they left, within a couple of weeks, it was down to like 0.9 megs, and I couldn't even do live segments. It would start buffering on your end, and at some point, YouTube would just disconnect, saying, you're not sending me any data. Well, I called the phone company and basically told them, if I can't get something that's going to work, I'm wasting my money on what you've sold me. And the lady said, well, we've now got 40 megs down and 5 megs up. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, great. And it's a whopping $10 a month more. I said, I'll take it. I really figured once the guy got out here, he'd say, oh, I don't know what they told you that for. It's not really available where you're at. So the day came, and the guy showed up right on time, about 1:30, and he started shaking his head. He's looking at his meters and instrumentation, and he said, man, you're 3,600 feet away from our office, and 2,900 is the limit. And I told him my story and what we were doing, and he's glad to come in here because the air conditioning's then. It was a hot afternoon, of course, and I'm sitting here saying, I just told him my story, and he said, man, let me go back to the office. Let me talk to the engineers. Let me see if we can come up with something. Well, I figured he'd never come back. An hour later, he came back, and he said, dude, I've got a truck coming in from Tallahassee. It's on its way, and we've got a solution. We're going to get you 5 megs. He was here. That crew was here until 7 o'clock that evening making this work. And 5 megs is not something that's very impressive if you're in an area that's not like this. But, folks, we were just in a bad way. I don't know what we would have done if they wouldn't have been able to do that. So I'm just very delighted that some things are starting to come together. And so we're looking good. And so stick around. Hopefully Monday night, it's going to be tight, but hopefully Monday night I'll be able to show you some stuff. I'm going to call that company Monday and ask them about some cameras, and there's some options there, but I'm convinced that it's going to work. And we'll certainly give it a spin, because at that price, you've got to try it. So things are looking real good, and we'll get going here as soon as we can. And I see that Chuck has left us, and he's probably out pushing that video now. I bet he's like a kid in a toy store. Thanks again for Hazards 4 playing the tunes for us tonight. Sunbelt Girl, the tag team partner, and we're just going to get going again. It feels good. It just feels good. Not to be just, going backwards all the time. So anyway, that's what we got for now. And we'll be back in the days and weeks ahead with more good stuff. And we're going to turn it back over to whoever, by the way, whoever plays the next video, I want the one after that. Okay? I'm going to show you a commercial on what you can do. Talk to you then.